Welcome, welcome. This is Marnie, and you're joining us for Marnie's Friends. I'm here today with my friend Sue A. Fairchild. We're going to be talking about introvert to influencer, mastering social writing on your own terms. During this interview, we're going to address that. First of all, Sue is our Hidden Treasure Award for Instagram. So, congratulations about that. We're going to talk about what it means to write and market for God, how to share with confidence and not promote yourself, how to launch successfully what God has given already, 3 tips to make faith-based marketing easier, how to stay encouraged along the way, why it must be about God and not only about you, and how to think about the challenges. Our guest today, Sue A. Fairchild, is an editor, writer, and speaker. She's been helping new and established authors perfect their stories for over 10 years and has spoken at numerous conferences on writing and publishing topics. You can learn more about her at her website, sueafairchild.wordpress.com, and also invite her to speak at your upcoming event through womenspeakers.com. Excited to welcome you now. Hi, Sue.
Hi. Great to
Good.
be here. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, and it's great to have you. And I suppose with this topic, I'm assuming you consider yourself an introvert.
For sure. Yes, absolutely.
So you were just telling me you're getting ready for a conference. And so as an introvert, how do you prepare and how do you recover?
Prepare is for me. I just like to be very organized. I've spent like the last week printing out some things, making sure I have, checklists and everything marked off. So I like to just personally know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And recovery is really just a really great husband who knows that when I get back, I need rest and I don't really need any more interaction with anyone.
Right.
He gives me at least a day to just decompress and just not talk to anyone for at least 24 hours.
I love that. I love that. And it's fun to go, but it's always fun to come home. That's what I
For
say.
sure. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we talk about mastering social writing now on your own terms, let's just start with what it means to write and market for God.
Yeah. I mean, to write and market for God, writing, I think a lot of Christian authors have down. We understand what it means. We know to add in the scriptures and add in the redemption stories to our manuscripts. But marketing, then I hear so many authors say marketing is icky. I don't want to market myself. But we're really not marketing ourselves. We're marketing God. We're marketing His word and His purposes. So it's a lot different than normal content creators and influencers to share about your own things. You're sharing God really with everyone.
I always say that God is the best marketer ever, and I point to sunrises and sunsets and
Amen.
butterflies,
Yes.
rainbows, and I mean, He is the best marketing plan ever. And what He wants us to do is kind of to walk in His path forward. And He is
Yes.
always a gentleman, and I love that about God, that He doesn't force Himself on us. He can be very persuasive, but He is always a gentleman, and that's what we want to kind of focus on too. This piece about not promoting ourselves, that's a tough one. I love working with the speakers at womenspeakers.com because I will hear things like, oh, I just hate self-promotion, or I hate looking at my photo. Do I really have to get a professional headshot? All these things. And I love that, the humility. I love it. I also know that if we hide under a bushel, no light will be seen.
That's correct.
And we are coming to be the light of the world. So what do you say to introverts about speaking out with confidence?
I think that to getting to the confidence level is you have to push past those things you just talked about. You have to push past that I don't look good enough, or I hate how I look on camera. I still don't love how I look.
Me either. Who does? I don't know anybody who does, really.
Right. But and have you ever listened to your voice back? It's definitely not what you think your voice sounds like. So I think the first couple of times you really just need to push past that. And once you get comfortable, I don't have any issue coming on something like this, or creating a reel on Instagram, or creating some kind of video, because if God has given me something to share, it isn't about me. It's not about how I look, or it's about the message. So as long as the message is clear that I'm promoting for God, then it really doesn't matter what I look like. People are going to see past that anyway. And I always say, look, think about, if you're watching a reel, are you thinking, oh, that person really needs to get a haircut, or that person needs more makeup, or that you don't, you're
Right.
listening to, you're listening to their message.
Right. And it's the reason we put it out there is because God's actually given us something of value, and we can either keep it to ourselves or we can share it with others. And if we're going to share it, that means we have to put it out there. We can't just hide. They're not going to find it if we're hiding it. So you talk about launching successfully. First of all, what do you mean? And then how do you do it?
So as far as launching successfully, I just mean for your social media things. What are you, if you're starting on a particular channel, one thing I try and tell authors, or anyone really, we're often told you have to be on every social media platform. You have to have a presence everywhere. Okay, that's all fine and good to try and do that, but start with one. Get really comfortable with one. I happen to really love Instagram. It's obvious, I guess, because I won this award, but I'm on a lot of other platforms, but I still kind of focus on a few because I just do one or two and I try and do them successfully. So launching successfully means dip your toe into a few and decide, I really like this platform. I'm going to start with that one, and then be consistent in both your message and how often you're posting. So, and get into a rhythm. So if you start start with a plan and start small, your confidence will build, and then you can fan out to other platforms.
I love that. Such good advice. I always say when somebody's starting a blog, I always say you want to have 3 months worth in advance and then start your blog, because it is shocking how much time it takes to do a good job on a blog, on a social page. And if you will give yourself the mercy of not just saying, I'm going to post 10 times a day on X, starting from day one, it's not going to happen. You're going to burn out instantly almost. And even if you're just saying, I'm going to do 3 times a week, and you're coming up with your own creatives for it, this can be a lot. So just start slow, increase gradually, and add channels gradually. Yeah, love that advice. So good. Yeah. So you say what God has already given us. What are you talking about there?
Well, I think that when we're starting something new, we have to look back and see how God has been faithful in the past. So especially if it is something that He's asking us to do and He is giving us the tools to do that, that means the tools that you're going to be able to be on social media and be okay. You're going to work out how to create a reel and how to do videos and it'll get better over time. But what has He already given you? How has He already been faithful in other things to remind yourself He'll be faithful in this too. He is going to equip you if He is asking you to do it. So remember that all of the things that He has brought you through. So most everybody's on Facebook. When you started on Facebook, did you know everything? No, but you have learned and you've gotten through the process. So when you're starting a new social media, or you're trying to do more on a social media platform, remember, God has helped you through it. Put everything before Him, ask Him to help. I mean, prayer is a very important part of this process. So ask Him to help and just praise Him for what He has already given you and already been faithful to you for.
Yeah. And be courageous. Yeah. I'm thinking about, everybody has their own learning style. For me, one of the things that helps a lot is to go to Google and to type in the search, I type in YouTube without the .com. I just type in YouTube, and then I type in whatever I need to know next. And it's just, that's kind of the way that you are a self-learner. You can also take a course on a whole thing. They'll walk you from beginning to end. That's good for some people. I don't usually do well with that. I usually do better in the piecemeal. What do I need today?
I'm better at training myself. usually.
Yeah, yeah. Right, right. I think we all kind of know ourselves a little bit, and there are so many wonderful training tools out there, free and paid. Find something that matches the need that you have and then
Absolutely.
step into it. And I love the principle of what's that you've got in your hand. Look at what you already know, start there,
Yeah,
and then build from that. And that makes the most sense. And it's a healthy way to grow as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right, we've got 3 tips to make faith-based marketing easier.
So my first tip is to remember you're not marketing for yourself. We've talked about that a little bit already. You're sharing God's word, um, and remember, it's not about followers of you, but followers for God. So tip number one: remember you're not marketing for yourself. You're marketing God and for His purposes. Number two, you have to shift your mindset from fears, from your fears, to your audience's needs. So again, it's not about you. It is about what does your audience, or if you're a Christian writer, what your reader needs. If you're creating videos on YouTube, what your watcher needs. Your listeners for podcasts, what do they need that you can offer, that you can give them? So then your mindset is going to shift. How can your story change their lives? It is, your story is important, but you're looking at your audience. And then tip number three, keep your focus on God, His will, His purpose, His direction, His guidance, His clarity. Pray and keep your focus on Him. Really, that should be number one, but I did make it number three. You just need to, we're told to do that in the Bible, and you have to keep your focus on Him. If you focus on God and lay everything before Him first, it'll work out.
I love that. And I'm thinking about AI a little bit, and I love AI. And there's so many great things that I use it for. However, I've been teaching that the one thing AI will never do for you is check in with the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have
AI definitely
got,
has a lot of good applications.
yes,
Yes, I agree with you.
stay tuned in, stay in the heart. And you want to speak from the heart, not from a machine. You
Yes.
do not actually want to speak from a machine.
It
And
can definitely give you the words, but it cannot
yeah,
give you the
the
compassion.
heart, it
Heart.
can't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you have to
Yeah.
put your own tone and voice in. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. And how do you stay encouraged along the way? I want you to speak specifically right now to the introverts who are listening and they're like, yeah, I just don't really want to be engaging with people this much.
I think that things like this helps to know that I have some friends that say introverts unite, but in your own homes, and away from each other. But even though we're introverted, you can do one-on-ones like this. This is not scary to me because I know other people are probably watching and other people are going to see this, and that's great, but I'm just talking to you right now. So connect with one or two other people, other introverts that understand how you're feeling. Maybe someone that has pushed forward that they are an introvert, but they're going out there and doing what they need to be doing on social media or with their book or whatever your lane is, to stay encouraged. I have several friends. We have Bible study together online. One lives in Michigan, one lives in New Jersey. I'm in Pennsylvania. We're not together, but we can connect. There's all sorts of ways to connect nowadays. We connect through Bible study, but we're also talking to each other about life and things that hold us back, and why wasn't I able to write today, and grief is holding me back, and I had too much to do at work, or my kids are taking up too much of my time. You have to find other people to kind of bolster you and keep you going. And then also, to stay encouraged, give yourself a little treat if you post once a week, or if you pushed yourself forward and made a reel or made a video that you didn't think you could do. Get yourself a little chocolate, or just spend some time worshiping God and thanking Him. Find encouragement wherever you can. And sometimes that is a little pat on your own back, but friends are great for that. They will say, you're doing so great. My friends really bolster me a lot when I say, oh, I don't think I can keep doing this. And they're like, what? Are you crazy? Keep going. You
Yeah, right.
doing all these great things. We don't see our own accomplishments but your friends do. So definitely have a tribe of women and other people that can, help you with that encouragement every day.
And I just want to reiterate what you said was, even online counts. You don't have to necessarily be face to face with a bunch of people. You can be online. And what I have found is that if you are online with people who are authentic, real people,
Yes.
you have authentic, real relationships. And when you move it into the physical realm, now all three of you get together in person somewhere, it's just going to flow like there was never a hiccup. It's amazing. I think it was a surprise. I think earlier when the internet started allowing us to connect like this, we were surprised at how congruent people were
Yeah.
from the internet space to the face-to-face space. And it was just a real relationship. It was not a fake relationship.
Yeah.
And the caveat to that is that you got to be talking with a person who's being honest with you. If you're talking with people who are trying to get something from you or take advantage of you, or they're just, habitual liars or something, it's not going to work out well. But if you're talking with a godly person who's just being authentic with you, the relationships online are, what a gift. That's all I can say is what a gift.
For sure. I know so many people that don't like social media. They think it's just, junk. But I have been in prayer circles and encouragement circles online. So yeah, and those three
Yes.
friends that I mentioned, we will see each other next week at conference, and we cannot wait. We cannot wait. We're going to do our Bible studies in person together next week.
Right.
So, yeah.
And see, that's such a good balance to do that. Do what you can. It's actually just doing what you can, right?
Yeah,
because you live
exactly.
far away. You just can't do it differently than that. But then when you get together, just carry on and be yourselves and just enjoy it in person. So we've talked a little bit about already why it's got to be about God.
Absolutely. I think that especially in this space as Christian authors and influencers, content creators, it has to be about God, because if you lose your way and you're looking at the worldly incentives to be on social media. So I've said, I talked to a couple of newspapers because of the award, and I said, I don't look at my followers. I don't look at the numbers. One of them asked me how many I had. I said, I don't know. I would have to look.
Yeah.
It isn't about me, because if I'm focused, and I have been focused on that sometimes, where I'm focused on the followers, or I'm focused on how many views a video got, and I stray so far from God, and then I am not doing what he wants me to do anymore. So it has to be about him. You have to keep your focus on him. He says that, he tells us that in the Bible repeatedly. Right. And it is definitely important that we need to be enriched in him, soaking in him, so that the outside world comes in so nefariously and so easily sometimes. And if you are not focused on him, it will easily do that. I've been down that road. I have gone, it's easy on social media to be like, well, I didn't get enough views. How am I? And we sometimes will say, I'm not being effective for the Lord. I need more views. No, focus on God. The views will come. The followers will come. The work will come. All you have to do really is focus on God and make sure you're sharing his message. He will do the rest.
Yeah, I love that. So when it comes to money, I call myself God's CFO, his chief financial officer, and my responsibility is to track the numbers and then to give God a report. So God knows that he knows that I know, and I know that he knows. And as the CFO, it's not my job to increase the numbers. Mm-hmm. It's my job to report the numbers and then to do whatever he tells me to do. And it's the same way. I was thinking with social media, you could be God's CNO, his chief numbers operator, and you could look at the numbers, but not be married to them. Mm-hmm. I like numbers because every number reflects a human soul.
Yes.
And so that's why we're motivated to look. It's a good reason that we want to look, but we get mixed up with, was it okay that this was for one person, or did it need to be for 1,000 or a million people? And so that can really throw us off the game if we have unmet expectations there.
And it's definitely, I agree with you. It's definitely important to look at numbers. And sometimes I will look at my real numbers, especially because it's interesting to see what works and what doesn't work. So especially I have found being vulnerable works immensely. But that's where that confidence we talked about earlier comes in. You have to be confident in what you're sharing about God's message in order to be vulnerable. It's really hard to be vulnerable and not just have a script. But I have found it does often get the most engagement.
Yeah.
Because that's, people need to know they have other people that are feeling the same way they are.
Exactly. And I think the other thing about numbers is sometimes they aren't really honest. They aren't showing what's actually, well, they never show what's happening eternally. A number will never show you what's happening eternally. But I even think, we do the virtual summits, 9 a year, and we have these videos running live at the summits, and, up to hundreds of women are in each class. And you look at the YouTube shows and it says that 12 people have watched it. Well, we know better than that. There were a whole bunch of them there with us watching it, but it didn't calculate across the channel. So just know that sometimes the numbers aren't even telling you the whole truth. And they're certainly not going to show you anything about what's happening in people's hearts. Yeah. So when you're facing challenges, then how do you think about that?
I think that I'll tell you, when I was nominated and got this Hidden Treasures Award, I've told others, I was really feeling like I'm just stepping away from social media completely. I was I just was in a place where other things were going on in my life and I didn't see any fruit from it. So I said, okay, I need to kind of just focus on something else for a while. Well, then this award came along and I thought, okay, maybe God is telling me I need to keep at it. So I've been slowly getting back on Instagram a little bit more and posting some things, but it was a result of, focusing too much on myself and too much on the numbers that I wanted to walk away. So now it's just a, reminder that I have to be focused on God and what he is asking me to do. And that's how you have to look at the challenges. Okay, what is God showing me through this challenge? What does he want me to learn? There's a continual growth happening. You cannot be stagnant. So he wants you to grow. And that is challenging sometimes to push you out of your comfort zone continuously. So it's challenging. But if you look at it as God is growing me for his purposes, then it's a different mindset.
And it's the only way that James 1 makes sense. Count it all joy when you face big trials. It's like, wow, that does not sound like a joyful thing. But the only way that it does make sense is when we say we count it joy because God's actually going to accomplish something through this that could not have been accomplished without something happening. And it's not that God sends the bad, but boy, he sure uses every bit of it for good. So
beauty from ashes, beauty from ashes.
That's right. Well, I get to the part here where I get to ask you a couple of questions. So first of all, Sue Fairchild, do you have a favorite book just now or a favorite all-time book?
I thought long and hard about this question. It's really difficult because you said other than the Bible. It's difficult for me because I really am all over the place. If you ask me as far as an editor or in my professional business, I'm in the Chicago Manual of Style all the time. Something that's, I'm repeatedly reading. I really love Story Trumps Structure by Stephen James. Those are two books that I go back to just for my professional writing. Personal, that's hard. I don't typically reread a book once I've read it and know the end. I don't read it again, and I don't watch a lot of movies over. Anything that's well written, anything that has a Christian worldview and is sharing God's message well. That's my favorite book.
Awesome. That's fun. And then how about something you're using, a tool or AI or something that you could recommend others?
I'm not big into tools like that. I have started using an actual physical planner this year. That has helped me to kind of keep on track because we're all so busy. And I used to be really good at keeping on top of all of that. But as I get older and the mind is not as sharp, so I'm using a planner, but I think it's not really a tool, a physical tool, but I say that you have to know what your own body's rhythms are. I feel like this is a time management hack. If you are a morning person and that's when you get the most done, that's when you need to work. That's when you need to do learning about social media things or setting up a whole bunch of social media posts. Whenever you're the most productive, that's when you should be doing your hardest things that you need to really get done. And if you know that this is technically, Marnie, this is not my most productive part of the day, but interviews usually are not too cumbersome, so I can make it happen. But normally this time of the day, I'm doing lighter things, just organizing some day. So you have to know your rhythms. When are you most productive? When are you most energized? That's probably when you're going to be the most productive.
I love that. And I even think, if you are most productive in the morning or whatever, save meetings until later in the day, because there's, when you're working by yourself, especially if you're a writer or working independently, there's nobody there in the room with you. There's no extra energy coming from another person. So you actually can sometimes, I guess if you're an introvert, maybe that's not true. Maybe you would do it the reverse way. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. You mean someone in the room giving you encouragement to keep working?
Well, like let's say you have to schedule meetings with other people. Would you, Sue, as an introvert, would you save that time for your strongest time or save that time for your little less powerful time?
I think it does depend on the meeting. I think if it's, I tend to talk to new clients or someone that I am not sure how it's going to go or what their questions are going to be in the morning, because that's when I'm most alert, when I can give better feedback and kind of work on the fly.
Yeah.
But interviews I tend to do in the afternoon because they're usually about what I know and what my skills are, and
a little more comfortable.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable. So I don't need a lot of energy to do them in the afternoon.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a good piece of wisdom for everybody. And then do you have a favorite Bible verse just now or a life verse?
I have my go-to Bible verse, which I actually have here on my office wall, is Psalm 46:5. It says, "God is within her; she will not fall. God will help her at the break of day." So that we talked about encouragement earlier. That's really my encouragement every time I am feeling a little like this is not working out, whatever. I can look up at that verse and just say, okay, God is within me because I'm focused on him. I'm in him. So he's in me and he's not going to let me fall. He's, and every morning, blessings are new every morning. At the break of dawn, every morning, he is going to be with me. So if we mess up today or I mess up today, we can start all over tomorrow. It's fine.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for being here today. What a fun interview. Thank you.
It was so fun. I loved it.
Good. Well, you guys want to totally go check out Sue's website. It's Sue A. Fairchild.
Thank you for hosting me.
Yeah, you bet. You guys want to check out Sue's website, sueafairchild.wordpress.com. And when they get over there, Sue, what are they going to find?
So on my website, you can find what I do as far as editing. You can find client testimonials. My resume is over there. I also have a full media kit. So if you're looking for a speaker for your group or organization, please check that out. Or even a teacher. I do workshops, both online and in person, so they can check out all of that. And my books are also listed on my website.
Great. Okay, you guys want to go check that out, sueafairchild.wordpress.com. And also you can invite her to speak over at womenspeakers.com. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.